Changing up today. I got it, guys. Hey, every one of you is here for a reason, for a purpose. All right? You're not here by accident. We wanted you here. We brought you here. You have a gift. Bring that gift to the table today, man. Bring it to the table. We talked all week about finishing. Finish every block. Finish every tackle. Finish every play. Finish the damn game. Let's go. Let's go. Vikings on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Freebeats.io. Get this beat untagged for free at freebeats.io. Freebeats.io.
We're building full of dream chasers in here. You want to come join us?
Welcome in, everybody. It is Monday evening, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, and Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm Will Goodwin of VikingsTerritory.com. With me is the one and only great Jordan Hawthorne. Jordan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Glad to, I don't want to say take a back seat, but I'm glad to not have to do my welcome in and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to lie, when you said, hey, you said you wanted to take the lead on this one, I know it's because you didn't want me to make that was a good win joke, and I understand it. I'm still going to make it because, I mean, Will, what a win, man. What a win. How, I guess we just talked on Wednesday. How was your weekend, I guess?
It was a good weekend. I've been fortunate enough for the month of September. I had some PTO left, so I'm taking off every Friday of September.
Oh, that's great.
So get some more time with the kids, and I went to a very, very late Twins game on Friday night. It was a rain delay by about 70 minutes. Game didn't start till about 8:30, so I didn't get home till about 12:30. But it was a blast.
It wasn't that rain that we saw in Chicago. On yesterday, like not that bad.
Not the slip and slide.
Not the slip and slide. That was crazy.
Wild.
That was a crazy game. I'm really upset that San Francisco couldn't do that. But with division tiebreakers, the Vikings are in first place still, even though they're tied. But I think we got a good show.
Games to go.
Yeah, we do have 16 games to go.
We do have a good show today, Jordan, and something that we're going to be doing here in the next, hopefully, 17 weeks and then some. Let's hope for 22 weeks or so of this.
Absolutely.
Is a post-game recap show the day after a Vikings win, Vikings loss, or in the odd chance of a Vikings tie. Jordan and I are going to do a quick sort of post-game recap, quick reactions, and a synopsis and analysis on what we think this means for the team moving forward. Jordan's quippy name for these shows is going to be a day late and a dollar short. So
I think
let's get into
I
this.
think it's good.
Let's get into this week's Day Late and Dollar Short. Jordan, I want your first reaction to drive of the game last night. It's obviously quick. It was efficient. It was Jefferson highlighted with a couple catches, the touchdown. But what was your sort of reaction, your take after that? You're sitting on your couch, feeling good. Vikings up 7-0. Where are you sitting with that?
Right, so I watched the games with my dad and my brother, and over the years that has went from my dad, my mom, and my brother and myself to now I have a wife and my brother has a girlfriend and they have a baby together, and so the family's growing. So I had to temper myself, or at least try to a little bit, but I'm not gonna lie, I drafted Justin Jefferson at 3 in my fantasy draft this season because I said he was going to break the everything record for wide receivers. And I think I said that last week on the show. So when he had a couple catches on that first drive, including on 4th down and 1, O'Connell leaves the offense out there. We moved Jefferson in motion, hit him, in stride. He walks into the end zone. I immediately jumped up and started, doing the goody around, dancing around the house. My wife was loving it. She said it looked ridiculous. My mom thought it looked ridiculous. I was playing it for laughs, but I was also very excited because he put up a ridiculous amount of fantasy points, not to mention how much that meant for the Vikings. I really think Kevin O'Connell, I think he sent a message, and I don't want to say to the rest of the NFL like he puffed his chest out. I think he sent a message to the fan base that, look, this offense is not the same. All the motion that was used on that first drive, they were force feeding the ball to Justin Jefferson. It was just electric. I think is the best word I can put on it is the electricity was real. I could only imagine what it would have been like to be in that stadium, but I think it was a message to the fans. This is not the same Vikings offense we've seen, honestly, ever. This is the first time the Vikings have had an offense where I say, oh, okay, they are caught up with the rest of the NFL. They're doing motion. They're running out 3 wide receivers. There's only 1 tight end in the game. And I'm really excited about where that's going to go. Like you said, we got 16 more of these to do minimum. I'm really excited to do 16 more of these, and hopefully we have a lot more drives like that. What were your takeaways from that first drive?
Yeah, I'm going to take it maybe a little bit further on what you were talking about. So you made the comment about, whether or not O'Connell put the league on notice or if he just put the team on notice or the fan base, whatever. I'm going to be writing a piece tonight, should be published tomorrow on VikingsTerritory.com, looking at this game and looking at it from the perspective of, how much should the fan base and also like how much should the league react to this game for the Vikings. And I think O'Connell and then obviously the defense, the team as a whole, I think they put the league on notice in the sense of they're here, they're real, and they're going to be competitive. I think it made it very clear and very real yesterday that was a fact. I think beating the reigning number 1 seed, 3 straight division titles, 39 wins in 3 years, Green Bay Packers, and only allowing 7 points. There's some nuances to the game where we can get into that a little bit here, but like where it wasn't a perfect performance, and you and I know that. But I think the league is now, they're aware. They're aware that this Minnesota Vikings team it wasn't all just a bunch of a pomp and circumstance in the offseason.
Absolutely.
So I think there is something there that, we shouldn't overreact to this win, but I also think there's a lot there to be taken from it.
I do want to point out, and I don't want to I think we've kind of decided this show's going to be hectic and we're going to jump around. But flipping the sides of the ball, too, going to how that defense played, especially, I've said for years now, I would rather have an opportunistic, good in big spots defense that maybe isn't statistically the best. We gave up over 5 yards a carry yesterday. My dog's in the background. It was not exactly the best defense. I mean, Patrick Peterson got toasted on the first play from scrimmage, and we got lucky that there was a drop there. But having a defense that whenever Green Bay goes for it, 4th and goal from the 1 yard line, they make the stop. And I think in previous years, maybe the defense is only allowing 2 yards a carry, but they get gashed by big pass plays, and they don't make these opportunistic, big situational was the word I'm looking for. They're not a situational defense, and this is one game. All of these theories and all of these takeaways could be blown out of the water in a month. But after one game of seeing how that defense played, I do think that situational and opportunistic really applies to them. I don't know if Zadarius Smith can play that way. That's actually the question I'm going to pose to you, or send to you. Is Zadarius Smith playing the same level that he played on Sunday every week, or do you think that's only going to be for Green Bay because of how much apparently bad blood there is between the two of those him and that team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would imagine that the Zadarius Smith bad blood is probably more with the coaching staff and the front office than it is the players. I don't know if you caught when Aaron Rodgers foolishly tried to throw a block on Zadarius Smith and he kind of just pushed him over like a China doll. When Rodgers and him got up and started kind of trash talking each other, they were grinning, and you could tell that there was a little bit of. There was an animosity. Like, there was clearly
it was
a little
gamesmanship.
bit of, like,
it was gamesmanship.
Yeah, like, hey, bro, I got you. And there was kind of this sort of, making fun of each other. I was thinking about that yesterday, though, with Zadarius, and you could tell the moment he stepped on the field for that first Packers drive with about 9.5 minutes left in the first quarter, he was getting the crowd excited. He was the one pumping up the crowd. Obviously, that first play was almost disastrous, but I don't imagine that you can bring that same level of just headhunting ferocity every single game. I think, ideally as an athlete, you can do that. But for this game, there was nothing manufactured about where he was at. He was on a mission, he was angry, and he was out to prove something. And I think he did that. I think he more than did that. I think looking into, the rest of the season, it's going to be hard to manufacture a little bit of that when you're going to Detroit on December 11th or whatever it is. And, nothing against the Lions, but that's just not a high-profile, get-excited game. So I don't see it. I just would have a hard time with a 30-year-old linebacker.
I hope he can get, and I'm going to keep saying this. Well, I hope he can summon it at will. I hope it's something that he can play well and he can play disciplined and help stop the run. But then when it's 3rd and 7 and we're up by 3 and we need to stop so we can get the ball back and go up 2 possessions, I hope he can summon that and immediately put himself back in that, I'm playing Green Bay in Minnesota week 1, light the fire, here I go, blowing up linemen, blowing up running backs, coming to meet at the quarterback with his best friend, Danielle Hunter. That's what I would like to see, because I agree with you. I think not that 30 years old, as I slowly approach 30 years old, not that 30 years old is old, but for a linebacker who has had a major, career-threatening injury, it's okay. I don't want to say take plays off. It's okay to just be a disciplined, edge linebacker rather than being this, like you said, I think you said ferocious a couple times in that take. That's the best way to describe Zadarius Smith yesterday for sure.
So you mentioned, the opportunistic nature of the defense yesterday. I think that's a perfect way to describe it. They were not perfect. They gave up a lot of gash plays. The thing that I just kept banging my head on the couch last night was these little 5-yard, not even 2-yard outs, tight ends and running backs in the right flat, literally the right flat every time, and they'd get 7-8 yards. That concerned me just because it was over and over again the same action. We got outflanked and our linebackers got beat to the sidelines. So there's some things like that, I have a little bit of concern with. You mentioned we got gashed on some running plays.
Absolutely.
There were a couple times even that I felt like we looked a little bit confused pre-snap, and you could tell that, I think it was Harrison Smith was running up to the linebackers and telling Jordan Hicks to move to the left or to his right, depending on the play. And So it didn't feel like we were all on the same page all the time. What about? So maybe I'll flip it then to you on the other side of the ball. So those are some things for me that I'm concerned about. What are some things on the offensive side of the ball that maybe you saw that you didn't love that either could concern you for the short term or could concern you for the long term if there's anything in there?
So this is I'm just gonna keep saying situational because this is a Pat McAfee quote. Situations are situational, and it's really like it's stupid, but it's so true. The offensive line in the first half, even though Cousins was not sacked, I think he was only sacked once yesterday all game, and I do think that happened in the first half. Ed Ingram looked a little bit like he was in over his skis, looked a little bit, shaken out there. Really solidified in the second half, but my issue is, and this is again, maybe it's because we were up 16 at one point and we weren't trying to. I would like to see us, if we are up 16, go up 23 and then go up 30 and so on until the clock hits 0. Oh, until the referees tell you stop, they're dead. Like, you know what I mean? Like that Simpsons meme, like stop it, he's already dead. I would like to see, and I don't know, maybe it was, we were just, trying to chew some clock. The play calling did get a little bit, I don't want to say stagnant, but we went from 17 points in the first half. We scored 6 in the second half. I would have liked to see this be, I don't know if you saw, but the Kansas City game against Arizona, also one of the 4 o'clock games yesterday, or the 3:30 games, whatever. They just kept putting it on them. And it's not that they're running up the score, but whenever you're playing Aaron Rodgers, whenever you're playing Kyler Murray, we play Josh Allen this year. When you play these elite guys, you don't give them a chance to make a comeback. Don't put it on your defense. Don't give them an opportunity. Dalvin Cook ran out of bounds with a minute to go in the game. Don't give them an opportunity to get a cheap touchdown, an onside, and then a drive to send it to. Don't even just take it out of their hands. And I think the best way you can do that is you establish a lead and then you just keep trying to, pedal to the flow. And I feel like the Vikings kind of slowed up a little bit. The defense was playing, lights out yesterday. I can't take anything away from them. But those would be my 2 biggest concerns on the offensive side of the ball. That and, at some point, Justin Jefferson's going to get... he's not going to, go for $180 for every game this season as fun as it would be. So I have faith in KJ and Thielen. When they are needed, sure, they will step up. That's not really a concern, but it is something that I guess you could potentially raise an eyebrow. Did you see anything else on the offensive side that you were like, oh boy, here we go again?
But I think the "here we go again" question is actually really apropos because as I was sitting there watching the game, and just a tidbit, I got 2 babies. I wasn't able to watch the game live, so right. I watched the game when the kids were in bed. So it was on record. So I was sitting there, with like the nervous shakes, and the game was over 4 hours ago. But I'm, sitting there on my couch as if like this is happening live, and. Here we go again thing, it never really got into my mind, but there were times when it almost did. There were times when, we're up 20-7 or we were up 23-7 after that last Joseph field goal, and in my mind, I just thought Pittsburgh of last year.
Oh, yeah.
We had a 16-point lead, and we were very, very, very close to letting that one go. And I just kind of had these thoughts of, and then what was the other game last year where we only scored like 3 or 6 points in the second half? There was another game. Oh, it was the Arizona game.
Oh, yep.
We had like 23 in the first half, a pick 6 to start the second half, and then one more field goal was all we scored the rest of the game. So that was kind of like my thoughts in the back of my head, but there really wasn't anything to back it up. In terms of, there was nothing to back up my fear. Because watching the game, like you said, the defense was opportunistic. The defense dictated that game. Every time that Aaron Rodgers had a chance to keep the momentum going, or the running game for the Packers was to keep the momentum going, for one thing, the Packers did not rely on the running game enough. That was the only thing that was really working for them. and they continue to try to go back to the passing game, and I think it hurt them, especially in terms of that fumble.
Yeah.
Or there were so many times where Rodgers would go back to pass and he would look tentative because I don't think he trusts his receivers yet. And there was even the one play he escaped Tomlinson, he escaped Hunter. He still couldn't find anybody, and DJ Wanham got him anyways. So you didn't ask me about the defense, but I think when you ask about the here we go again, my first thought is the defense, because that was what seemed to let up all of those leads last year, even though the offense had moments of being inept as well. Everything about the offense that you said I agree with. Those are my exact points. One thing that isn't a concern that was actually very positive and something that I look for, not as if Kirk Cousins is different than last year, other than the fact that I like those long white socks that the offense was all wearing. That was sharp.
Yeah, the offense looked clean. I know that's not going to get a lot of traction on Tread online because of Justin Jefferson's performance. They looked sharp out there.
Yeah. But the thing that I noticed about Kirk is he was putting the ball in the couple times where he did have contested throws to Jefferson. He was putting it only where Jefferson could get it. That high pointer on 3rd and 7 where he threw it, it was kind of a deep out or a deep over. He did a few of those last night. Kirk kind of threw a duck, but it was only to where Jefferson could get it. And that was something that, we want Kirk to throw more contested balls. We want him to take more risks. In a sense, that's a risk because there was a couple defenders in the area, but it wasn't a risky throw because the only person who could catch the ball was Jefferson. So that was a positive note that I saw.
Absolutely.
And something that can carry forward into next week and hopefully then beyond.
I do want to point out, I did say at one point, because Cousins was throwing the football the way that you would throw, like, a can of soup at your mom. Like, you just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just high, slow, and it just fell in. And unfortunately, as someone who, has been on record as a Cousins hater, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. Like, as someone who is not the biggest fan of Cousins, I didn't learn a ton about him yesterday because Justin Jefferson had 10 yards of separation on virtually every catch he had. It was ridiculous how open he was. The Packers have some scheming to do. I'm not going to overreact and say the Packers are dead because they got beat a lot worse last year in week 1, and they rallied off 7 or 8 straight wins, and they ended up walking with the division. But Kirk Cousins does own Aaron Rodgers. This is Kirk's division to lose now at this point. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do in this offense because I think a big part of Justin Jefferson being so wide open is O'Connell's schemes getting him in there. I do want to say one thing, and this is something we didn't talk about. I'm so sorry for putting you on the spot. I do think this is a perfect spot to kind of put a bow on the game ball section that we did on last week's preview part. I'll just go ahead right off the bat. I had offense last week. I said sometimes it's easy. It's Justin Jefferson this week. He's going to go off. And I was 100% right, and that's not a difficult prediction to make that one of the best receivers in the league is going to have a really good game. But I am going to go ahead, give myself a couple of these right here because he, 9 catches, $184, 2 touchdowns, almost had 3. What a day from Justin Jefferson. Passing it over to you for the defensive side of the ball, and then, of course, we'll talk about next week's game on Wednesday. Who was your defensive game ball going to? I think you predicted Harrison Phillips, if I'm not incorrect.
I did, and he wasn't bad, but he wasn't the force that I was hoping he was going to be. What I was looking for from him was to clog up the middle and to shut down the run game because we knew the Packers were going to have to run more than they normally would yesterday. I think it's the defensive line, though, as a whole, the pass rush as a whole. There was just, and I mentioned this already, but Rodgers was uncomfortable. Not because he was constantly having people in his face, but because there was good enough coverage, and in the moments when he was having moments of doubt, our pass rush was able to make him pay for it. And I think especially Zadarius Smith, we mentioned before, didn't let him off the hook for holding onto the ball a little bit too long. When he got hit hard.
Absolutely.
And not that you're going out there to hurt somebody. I'm not in favor of that by any stretch. But when you're trying to send a message, that's the way you send the message, is you lay the lumber. And Aaron Rodgers made some comments earlier this week pre-game about how this is, Green Bay's division to win, and kind of scoffing at the other 3 teams in the division, having hope and having high expectations. I think he made some comment about, every year the teams that get all excited, but last time I checked, we've owned this division for the last decade and a half, and it's true. But I don't know if I would do that going into a matchup with a team that, has your name plastered whiteboard, ready to
And
go
it's
out and
not
take,
like he's
take care
owned
of.
the Vikings. Like the Vikings, since we've gotten Cousins, I feel like we've split with them just about every year. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm cutting into your take.
No, and the stat on Aaron Rodgers versus Kirk Cousins, Kirk is 5-3-1 against Aaron Rodgers. So take it as you will, but he's got a winning record against Rodgers in his career. So it doesn't mean that he's better than Rodgers, but it means he's been able to get the job done in those big games. So yeah, I'd say defensive line, pass rush especially was the winner from that.
I think I agree with you, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say one other thing. It's a different side of the ball even, but we talked about takeaways and concerns. One that I have is finishing in the red zone. I think it's small sample size. It's you don't want to overreact. We weren't living in the red zone too much yesterday, but 2 of those, two field goals down there, not my favorite. And so I think that's something I'd like to see cleaned up a little bit more.
Absolutely.
And
Maybe it was a point, by the way, that Justin Jefferson was being force-fed. Like, that would not surprise me at all if O'Connell was like, no, we're going to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson like 25 times. And I think they only threw it to him 11. But in the red zone, it did feel like they were going after Jefferson quite a few times. I think in this Eagles game, I'll have a bold prediction on Wednesday night for the Eagles game involving Adam Thielen, the undrafted Minnesota native. So tune in on Wednesday to get that.
Yeah, so on that note, Jordan, what's your you got any final takes for us? Recapping week 1, recapping the Packers week.
I don't think so. Obviously I do, but I think we've kind of spilled our guts here. I will say, Dalvin Cook, it feels good to have him be the cherry on top of the sundae instead of being the whole 3-course meal, the way Mike Zimmer wanted him to be. I think he's going to have a really good season. He's not the workhorse back anymore. He's still number 1. He's still really good, but I do think this offense goes through Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. Jordan Hicks didn't look great. I should probably throw that out there. I know that's not a hot take. Everybody's kind of, saying, hey, that was a really good win. Hicks didn't look elite by any stretch of the imagination. And really, I hate to be this kind of a guy, but I've been celebrating all day. I texted you today and said, thank you, Green Bay, for an amazing Monday, because they did. They gave us the best gift that we could ask for, a blowout loss to the Vikings. So I've had a great Monday, but starting tomorrow, and I hope the team has the same mentality, it's on to Philadelphia. For me, tomorrow, it's on to making sure Wednesday's show is the best it can be. Follow the show on Twitter at LTB Vikings. Follow Will on Twitter at Will Badloos. Shop Unified Athletic Wear, the best nothing. I don't know. They don't really have like a slogan, I don't think. But, Shop Unified. I think, they're a great company. Really proud to do business with them. And other than that, tune in on Wednesday at 7:30 Central Time to look at this Eagles game, because I think this is going to be a really exciting one on Monday night.
Awesome. Last thing that I have is just feels different. There's something about this season already that feels different. We felt it in the preseason and training camp. There was this level of optimism and excitement and hope and energy and togetherness. Seeing Kevin O'Connell pumping his fist on the sideline, listening to his post-game presser, Feels different. Doesn't mean we're going to even go to the playoffs. It doesn't mean we're going to win a playoff game. It doesn't mean we're going to win the Super Bowl. But we're going in the right direction as a franchise, and as a fan, as someone who is covering the team, I couldn't be more excited for this era that we're moving into. So that's all we got today. We're a day late. We're $1 short. Overload the box and skol, as always.